Hello and welcome to ABW Live. I'm not really sure where to start. I'm not really sure where to start at all, but we're going to start with the chat box. DTK LBC's first in the house. Then we got And235100. DJ Samuel's there. AVS Fan TV. Cyan Vesh. Sonam Gurung is there. K-Man 1867 is there. Archie's in the house. Who else is there? Carlito El Gooners there. I mentioned DJ Samuel. Richard Morris is in the house. Danny's in the house. Abhishek Mandvikar is in the house. Everything rude everything is there. Ikiwawa is there as well. Luke Howard. I got Ikiwawa right. I'm really impressed with myself. Luke Howard's there. Rocky7 GT UK is there. Guys. Fly KJ, Rudy Rastlos, Tim Hill, Alistair Smith. How are we all? Shout that's done for a while. Boys and girls. We are gutless. Before I introduce anybody today, here's a message to this Arsenal squad. You are gutless. Absolutely gutless. You haven't got a fucking backbone between you. You are absolutely shameful. Shameful. Fucking shameful. You are a gutless bunch of twats. And that's out off my chest. Let's introduce you to the first guest. He sails the seven seas from booty and birds. It's Kris Carpenter. Say hello, Kris.
Hello, Kris. I'll never get older. Hello, Jace.
How are you, pal?
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. Old and ugly, but these things can't be changed.
Welcome to the club. you know what I mean? Who cares? Next from Canada land, we have our friend Cory Austin. Say hello, Cory.
Hello, Jace. How you doing, mate?
Oh, mate. You don't want to be in my head at the moment.
I shouldn't even have asked, really, should I?
You know what? Over the last couple of years, I've put up with watching some shit, doing this show.
One thing is, it's a pleasure to pod with you finally, mate.
I know it is. It's lovely to have you on, pal. I'm really chuffed to bits. It's just putting up with the same shit of years. You know, I got to be honest here. I'm absolutely livid, but there you go. But lovely to have you on, pal. And finally, I haven't seen him for a couple of seasons, but he's back. He's back. It's the man from it's number 2 from Canadaland today. Yeah. It's OG. It's the Geoff. OG, mate. How's your hangover?
Can I swear on this?
You can crack on, son. This is going to be nasty. This is going to be quite a nasty show.
Boys, I said this before we got on the air. I'm proper fucked. You know, I'm a 95th minute Brighton winner incarnate right now over here in Canada. I was up till 2 a.m. my time doing another podcast with my buddies over here. We just got shit-faced on the air last night. And I got 5 hours sleep, and I woke up and I just watched that shower of shit. And I'm asking myself, why did I choose this episode to come make my comeback on? And I don't have a fucking good answer. And so, you know, maybe there's some group therapy that's going to go on now with us in the chat. I hope so. But, you know, it is what it is.
Unfortunately, Shred's at a pull-out. So you've been like a superhero. And you put your hand up, and as soon as Carpenter knew you were on, Carpenter was there. Nice. You know what I mean? He was there, and we both fanboy over you. You know what it's like, okay? That day in London, the Swansea game will never be forgotten. Right, straight into it, lads. Let's get into it. First of all, before we do, actually, in the stands, representing Bergkamp, Wonderland, and the London Evening Standard, so Spidey today. Looking like a lumberjack and sitting next to John Cross, wasn't he? He's sitting next to John Cross.
Yeah, we're going to sanitize him afterwards.
Well, you know, we may have to. Right, okay. So, Kris, I'm going to start with you, actually. Lineups. A changed lineup from Wednesday, obviously. Pepe and Lacazette in. Saka at 10. Holding and Mustafi partnering a thing, and Ceballos and Guendouzi in midfield. And this is purely for Josh, because Josh gets really annoyed with this. And Brighton have a 7'12" left back called Bergkamp. He hates it when that's mentioned. So sorry, Josh, but there you go. What do you think of the lineup, mate?
Yeah, it was what I wanted to see. It was more in line with what I wanted to see, what I expected as well. I thought we would bring back a bit more experience. I thought we would have a little bit more firepower, shall we say, in the form of Pepe and Lacazette. I wasn't completely convinced that Xhaka was at 10. I think that was a bit of a BT Sport FUBU. I know he
floated, yes, but mainly he was in that role, but he did come out, didn't he?
Yeah, he sort of almost had like a free role, didn't he? It was almost like a rift between the lines kind of role. Him and Aubameyang seemed to switch a bit as well. So yeah, wasn't 100% sure on that one, but yeah, it was a strong lineup. It was a lineup that should have been good enough to beat that side. Obviously, we'll come on to that later, but. Yeah, I felt like given the resources we had, Holding obviously was the natural fit at centre-back as well. Kolasinac getting a run, I thought Tierney would have a rest. Everything else was pretty much as you'd expect. So, yeah, I was okay with the lineup. I thought it was more than enough to win that game.
Absolutely. Kali Joel Gunnar, Danny Cook mentions, we missed Grant Xhaka. I think that's fair to say. And Kali Joel Gunnar says, what does Martinelli have to do to get some game time? We're going to talk about that in some detail later on, because I've got to be honest with you, when we're struggling to score goals, I'm wondering the same. I'm wondering the same. Okay, Cory, the game starts brightly. Auba with an overhead in the first minute. Some really good work from Guendouzi. Saka as well. Pepe as well. Aubameyang misses from outside the box after Brighton turned the ball over. Then on the 7th minute, Saka hits the crossbar after driving in and taking a screamer. It started really, really positively, didn't it?
Yeah. The first 10, I got home 10 minutes into the game, and I was able to listen to the coverage that the Arsenal.com does on the way home as I was flying down the highway at 100 kilometers an hour. And they did start very positive. When I walked in and started watching, it looked quite confident, very aggressive, which is no surprise. You almost have to think, or at least I wonder if Arteta had in mind that he wasn't going to win the Man City game, or at least that was less winnable, and he kind of floated a younger lineup for that game, knowing that maybe this one was the one he really wanted to go for. The lineup played very well off the beginning. Yeah.
We started like a house on fire, to be fair. Geoff, sorry, go on.
Can I say the one thing that surprised me was Kolasinac on the left. I just Tierney had such a good game the other day. I kind of expected him to start this game, so that was the one surprise for me off the beginning.
Yeah, I think that's more about managing his fitness, isn't it? You could have played Saka there, but you're lacking that the cutting edge up front. But it's all. He hasn't got many options at the moment, does he? He just hasn't got many options, and I think it's a bit of a struggle. Pepe looks bright. You get a Lacazette shot blocked. On 10 minutes, you've got Saka looking sharp. But Brighton, throughout this whole time, are looking really well drilled, aren't they? They're closing down well. They're pressing all the time. And they get back into shape really quickly.
Yeah, but we know that's the way Brighton's going to play. And we know that's how teams will play against us. That they'll keep their shape. They're going to play discipline, and they're going to wait for their opportunities. And So we should be expecting that. But it's been a bit weird, and I watched a bit of the Bundesliga when it restarted, and I've watched a few of the games this week in the Premier League. These aren't regular season games. These are not games that we would see in January, February, March, April. It's almost like the season restarted, and we've got a team that is not I don't think they're 100% fit, and I know people probably roll their eyes. And what I mean by that is, while they maybe have fitness, they're not in the groove, and I don't think any of the teams are. Even that game against Man City, it just, the rhythm isn't there. The rhythm is not there in the games. But it makes it easier for a team like Brighton, right? Because they as long as they just stick to the basics, they get their shape, they know they can contain us. I thought Xhaka was our brightest player in the opening 20, 25 minutes, and maybe even on the game. It seemed like everything that he did created something, which was encouraging. And you guys talked about the shape of us. It's a weird shape. I know Kris talked about it as well. The way we lined up, it was almost asymmetrical, which we haven't really done that since Arsene was around. Arsene used to play this lineup where Diaby would play sort of start left when he was fit, and he would actually migrate in. And it's almost like what we saw there was we've got Pepe, as you mentioned. He's sort of our winger on the right. Xhaka maybe lines up slightly to the left, but he pulls in and leaves that space for Kolasinac and Aubameyang to bomb down the side. And I thought that's interesting. It's a bit creative. But at the end of the day, I don't think we really troubled Brighton all that much. Obviously, Xhaka hit the bar, and we had the header that Lacazette couldn't finish. But at the end of the day, there was not really much rhythm in that game, especially in the first 45. It just looked like two teams that were playing a little cautious, that weren't quite at the top of their game. And unfortunately, we weren't able to open the scoring in the first 45. I think we had the chances, and we're going to come on to other things that happened in that first half. But in that first sort of 20 minutes, I think we really you have to be clinical. We have to take the advantage of the fact we've played one game. Like that one game more can be so important, and especially since we played against City, who ran us pretty ragged. That's the standard that we want to be at. And so with Brighton, we should have been able to break them down. We should have taken advantage in that first 20 minutes and gotten on the score sheet early, but we just couldn't quite do it. So, unfortunately, that is the way it is. And Daniel Smith, Brighton did defend well. They did their job. They knew what they had to do. They didn't stretch themselves, and they didn't put themselves about, and they waited for their chances, which came later in the game.
Absolutely agree. Kris, I want you to expand on that, okay? Because I got a couple of notes in here. Obviously, we've got a midfield pairing in Guendouzi and Ceballos, which I don't think would ever be Mikel's first choice, right? And that's not knocking either player. It's just they don't seem a really good fit to me. There's a bit of a lack of mobility and a bit of lack of pace to them both. Neither really get up and down the park too quickly, if you know what I mean. But to be fair to these lads, they worked hard, but they couldn't get in support of the front players to support them in the attack, and they couldn't really get show enough. It's not natural to their game, is it? So when you've got players who aren't naturally suited to partnering each other, it's really difficult.
Yeah, I think like Geoff said, I thought initially, in the way we started the game, I actually thought they sort of combined quite well. The problem we seem to have, and it's the same even when Xhaka and Torreira are available, is we've either got two very good defensive players, or I say very good, players that can play defensively, or we've got two that want to go marauding off up the park and leave us exposed behind. We haven't really got a player who does both, and the modern team, the modern era, if you will, has that type of player. I was watching Leicester earlier on. They've got sort of a perfect combination in Ndidi and Tielemans, players that are quite comfortable taking the ball up, particularly Ndidi taking the ball off the defence and driving through midfield. And then Tielemans, who likes to put in a tackle, but is very creative when the ball is won in that area, whereas we don't really have that. I think Ceballos is probably the closest to the man who can win a tackle and distribute, but I feel like with the system we're playing, it's almost like we're playing a bit too cautious. It's almost like we're so afraid to let rip on teams as we would have done, again, like Geoff said, arguably in the Arsenal era, where it would be like, well, we're gonna play this way and that's it. We're not going to adjust our tactics to you. You'll have to adjust to us. And obviously that didn't work out too well every time, but I wouldn't mind seeing a bit of it. I do feel like, particularly now with this result today, got nothing to lose, and I'd like to see us sort of go ham to the wind a little bit. But and maybe that's the reason they played Saka in that free role, to try and give us a little bit of, because he knew those two players weren't the best in that environment to play. I did feel like I felt like they faded a bit. I thought both Guendouzi and Ceballos started really well, and towards sort of mid part of the second half they'd faded, and that was the downside to that partnership. The one thing I will say that I love in Guendouzi, and hold the jokes of him being French aside, the thing I really like about him is the kid cares. He really cares, and if a few of the others had a bit more about that, I think we'd win a few more 50-50s, and a few more passes would go in the right direction. Hector Bellerin as well displayed a bit of that today. I do like that about him, but I just feel that we lacked something in that midfield area. So I saw a comment earlier on saying we missed Xhaka. I don't necessarily agree that we missed Xhaka, but we missed. But what I do agree with that comment is we do miss that presence, that sort of physical presence. Guendouzi and Ceballos are good athletes, but they're not a big presence. They're not a strong presence in that midfield area. And if, as anyone understands football knows, at the top level, if you lose the midfield battle, as we did to Bissouma, who I know we'll cover a little bit later on. I mean, he was very good today, but he was allowed to be very good by a poor refereeing display.
If you're allowed to give free kicks away all game, with absolutely no comeback. I gotta be honest, I hate blaming the referee, I really do. But Martin Atkinson's a fucking disgrace.
I mean, they're all frauds. But one thing that you might want to get your money on is that you can bet your life Pep Guardiola is licking his lips. He'll be in the Man City midfield next year with persistent fouling like that. He'll be an absolute dream for Pep. So sure they'll sign him up. But all jokes aside, I think it was it's a midfield that it didn't really offer too much. And I'm wondering, as much as I love the 4-2-3-1, I'm wondering if long term this formation is never going to work for us with the players we've got.
I totally agree. Cory, on to you. We see Burn get a yellow for a poor foul on Pepe. You see Lacazette. And there's a really good ball. Guendouzi did this a couple of times. He set Saka or Pepe free with a couple of really good long balls. Saka crossed a bit too late. Should have hit the first time. Lacazette had stopped for the header. Was saved. We never capitalised on any of these on our attacks, did we? No. It was always a little bit late with the cross, or it was always, Timid. We didn't run at the man with the yellow card. Yeah,
timid. It's almost like we don't like taking teams on. We have this, it's like it's ingrained in us to always hesitate. We're timid, or we're just timid. Do you not think?
Oh, I think we're gutless, mate. I think we're absolutely. I gotta be honest with you, okay? It's fucking shameful. I think our lack of aggression and
our attacks are impotent. Our attacks are impotent. All the thought is always on. It's almost always working its way out into a corner area, and then it just pumps back, churn it back. It's always, and I understand the concept of keeping possession of the ball, the importance of that, but it drives me freaking crazy how much we just don't seem to be so aggressive going forward. And the problem is, excuse me, as much as we may have played really nicely through the first half and controlled some of the play and so on, it's so timid. And then what happens is, as usual, all other teams have learned that you just got to foul and nick and harass us, and we're meek. And then there will be inevitably a spring of a ball, and they can release. And then if they have enough times where that happens, we get punished inevitably. But it's all because of our impotence, if you like, on our attack.
Yeah, it's a I gotta be honest. It annoys me. Okay, we're not aggressive when we're attacking. I want to see Pepe pick the ball up and go at the left back. I want to see when we're in midfield, pick the ball up. I want first time balls. Let's get the guys away quickly. When we're going into the challenge, let's fucking go into a challenge. Don't fucking wait and I don't want to go in there. got to be aggressive. You've got to show a bit of fucking ambition. And if you're not going to show it, what the fuck's the point of you being on that pitch? Because from 1 to 11, we were fucking gutless today. And that's been throughout, for the last number of years, it's been consistent. I mean, Cory, have you seen any change in our game?
Yeah, man, I so want to, Jason. I'm such a pessimistic optimist. So I've got to answer with my heart. I've got to answer with my head and say honestly that no, not so much. Not so much. We're still playing this structure of, 2 in the midfield, 2 wingers with 1 central striker, the wall where we're bouncing balls off for combinations of wingers running in to attack the play. It's essentially the same football we've been playing. You can count the numbers up and down the field, whichever combination you want. It's still the same kind of football that we've been playing. So I guess the answer to your question is no.
It's one of those, I mean, I got to be honest there. I'm just so frustrated, but listen. So my heart wants to say yes, because so when we see the beginning of this game and the way the you can see the football he wants to be played, it's encouraging. Yeah. But you add the problem that there's a personality in the team overall that I'm saying is just not, it's impotent. It's like no one's willing to take anybody on. It's all just put it in an area, somebody runs onto it, turn around, pump the ball back, look for the ball in. Oh, it didn't work. Oh, well, blah, blah, blah. Churning, same old. It's frustrating, isn't it? I mean, there's sports about ambition. I don't care. Of course, we won trophies.
And then you don't want to blame the referees just the same as I don't. But you've got to add in the fact that we just don't get the rub of the green. We're going
to come on to that right now, actually, mate. We're going to come on to that right now. I'm going to come back to you on this as well. I'm going to go to OG. OG, you had a comment to make on the midfield. Could you make that now, please?
Yeah, I want to make a comment about our midfield. We were talking about a little bit, but also just come on to that point around mentality as well. And our midfield, we're not exactly spoilt with choices in the center of the park at the moment. And whether we like it or not, I think Arteta was showing a lot of trust in Xhaka, at least pre-COVID when he came in and starting him with City. And that center of the park, it just is a couple things. Jace, to your point, you have to have physicality in there. Yeah. And it's something we've missed for a while. That's not a new thing. But you also have to control the tempo of a game. It's so important. So when you go to a place like Brighton, you need that tempo. And unfortunately, Guendouzi and Ceballos surprised me today. He was like, I don't remember seeing him touch the ball. Other than, he had that one chance early, but he didn't really show himself at all. He didn't impose himself on the game. And Guendouzi's a young lad. He never really does impose himself on the game. The one thing I will say about Guendouzi is under Emery, Guendouzi was he was a sideways passer. He was never very ambitious with his passing and his range of passing. And that is, along with that tempo and that control in the center of the park, we need midfielders that will open the game up. Whether it's a Santi style, with the quick feet and then a quick ball, or it's, a more thoughtful pass that penetrates, it breaks the lines. We need that. And I have noticed with Guendouzi under Arteta in the few games he's featured, because he didn't look very favored initially under Arteta. That is what he has improved in his game, is that he is making faster passes through the lines. He's making them out wide, which is where the space is. And unfortunately, then we just ran the lines. We didn't really, we didn't go anywhere from that, but that was a positive that was coming from it. And the other piece I wanted to make mention of, Jace, before you move on to the next point, is around the mentality. And realistically, I know we have this weird half COVID season going on, which is a bunch of bullshit anyways. And I really don't like it, if I'm honest with you. But it is what it is. It's not an excuse, but we have this. realistically, what do we got? Like a month with Arteta before this happens, a month and a half, six to 8 games. I can't remember exactly how much. The mentality that this team has, we're talking about years of this mentality. This is not a new thing. Yeah. Like I could go back 2 years ago when I was on this podcast, and 3 years ago and 4 years ago when we were doing this, and we could just fucking play it again, boys. We could just play it again. Maybe the team's different. The score line's a little different. Results the same. Mentality's the same. It's going to take some time. Arteta doesn't have any new players that he's really brought in. It's the same players, and in some cases, we're pretty limited in who we can pick because of injuries and things. Our center backs, they're the only 2 center backs we have that were healthy. Yeah, our center mid's pretty close to the same thing. It's going to take some time. I'm a bit more patient than maybe others, but I just don't even think I don't even think this little half season you can really count it for anything other than wherever we're going to finish, which is probably not going to be very high.
But I mean, the one thing that annoys me, okay, and I don't want to spend too much on this because there's a lot to go into. But you can't change the players, right? And we've taken some hits, obviously, with the Xhaka injury, with the Pablo Mari injury, with the Luis red card. I mean, that was never a red card. These things are all, clapped up against us, okay? The one thing you can choose is your fucking attitude. Do you know what I mean? It's the one thing, no matter what you do in life, okay? Yeah, we're having a bad day. I can be a stroppy bugger. I can be emotional. But when you take the park, when you're getting paid that much money, you choose your fucking attitude, okay? And for what I saw, and we're going to go on to it, Kris, I'm going to go on to you next, okay? We see the Leno injury, okay? The ball comes up in the air. Leno's into it, right? There's no chance of anybody winning it. Mope knows he's not going to win that ball. He goes into him anyway. Now, you can turn and say, I want my centre-forward doing that. But when you've got a keeper who's in the air, both hands on the ball, and you're knocking into him, okay, and he does knock into him intentionally, okay, he is unprotected hitting the ground. And this causes the injury and the screen, okay, it goes up. Atkinson doesn't even give a fucking card. He's a cunt of a human being, okay? He's a shit referee. He's a scumbag of a man. And if anything that bad happens to him, I'm not going to fucking feel bad about it. I'm really not, okay? Leno's unprotected. VAR, what are VAR doing? He's unprotected. He can't control his fall. Now, I don't think Mope goes to injure him, but it's snidey. It's fucking... He knows what he's doing there. Not one of our outfield players fucking jump on him. Not one of our outfield players jump on the referee to force him into a decision, okay? You've even got Mikel Arteta shaking hands with him afterwards. You are all shameful fucking gutless cunts. Because that is not the way you look after your teammates. If you want to fucking if you want to be a proper team, you have each other's backs. What I saw there was shameful. Absolutely fucking shameful. You're probably going to be a lot more level-headed about this than I am. My blood is up, right? But you never leave your teammates like that. You fucking do not. If you're going to get a hiding, you get a fucking hiding. But you can't throw punches in the pitch. We know that. Hands behind the back, into his face, fucking have him. No rotating foul in him. I'm furious.
Yeah, you hide it well. There's 3 points I want to make on this. I'll keep them as brief as I can. The first one is I'm glad you've said what you've said there in terms of that. I don't believe the player goes to do him. I don't believe that for a second. However, I do agree with you. It's basically what it is it's a coward's challenge.
Yeah,
and it's a challenge. It's a challenge that causes more injuries. See Matteo Debuchy, see Alexis Sanchez. It causes a lot of injuries to players because when you're in the air and you're a professional, I mean, whether you're a professional athlete or not, if you're in the air, your feet leave the ground, you don't have this thing called gravity. And you don't have any control over how you land, where you land, or what. Now, as a professional footballer and as a goalkeeper, Bernd Leno's first thought in his mind of that challenge was A, protect himself, which is why he turns his shoulder, And alongside that is keep the ball in the penalty area, because he's thinking, I haven't heard a whistle. I'm not going to get a foul here. I don't want to take the ball out of the penalty area. And that is what causes the injury, because obviously he plants his foot and tries to keep the ball in his penalty area. But rewind that 2 seconds. That doesn't happen if Neil Maupay doesn't go for that challenge.
Yeah.
And when I first saw it, I must admit, I looked at it and I thought, it's one of those where he was already committed to the jump and he's just got into him. You watch the replay again, it's not. It's very clear that Leno is going to get there first. It's very clear he has 2 hands on the ball, and Maupay then jumps. It's only a second, maybe 2, but it's a fraction of a time after Leno has the ball. And he's clearly got the ball, and Maupay wouldn't have even got to it, even if Leno hadn't got the ball, because there's a defender in between them. So for me, it's a coward's challenge. The other point to be made about it as well is when Aaron Ramsey was done at Stoke, you saw particularly Cesc Fabregas. I know he's not, your favourite player in the world, Chase, but particularly that night.
He's my favourite player, okay, but I'm not happy with the way he left. As a player, he had your back and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's my point. That particular night, I remember him and Sol Campbell particularly rallied that night, and essentially they turned that into a whatever fucking happens, we're going to take these fuckwits apart, and that's what we did. To me, the players, I sort of agree with you, and I also disagree with you. I agree with you that we should have been in the referee's face, and there should have been more done about it. I mean, he should have been booked for being essentially being out of control, for making a challenge that was not required. Some people said he should have been sent off. I'm not sure I agree with that, but he should have been booked.
The ball before he jumps, the ball is in Leno's hand.
Yeah, it's a foul and he's out of control.
There's no attempt. Now we go back to Luis on Wednesday night. There's no attempt to win the ball. Now, the point is, I used to do that on the rugby pitch. I'd leave it on somebody, right? I'd leave it on them on the football pitch. But I knew damn well what I was doing, and I know if I'm getting a card or if I'm getting sent off, that's my tough tits. Do you know?
I have an issue with this.
Do you not think though that he's intentionally pushing him? He's trying to push him out of the box, so that he's got a handball. That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah, but this is the thing, okay? It's no attempt for the ball, therefore it's a foul, therefore it's a card. No, if you take it into
I'm not arguing that it's not a foul. I'm just saying that I don't think it was in his head to try and hurt the player.
No. I look, Maupay, let's be fair to him now, okay? It's a snidey coward's challenge.
It is.
But he's
that kind of player as well.
Yeah, I don't believe at all. I don't believe he would want to injure Leno. I'll give him that, right?
He's playing for a free kick.
But the thing is, Cory, we've all played the game, right? We've all played the game. If you're going in with a cheap shot, there's a chance of an injury. And if you're in the air, in rugby, if you're in the air, you're not allowed to challenge unless you're going for the ball. And this is the thing.
And that's why this is the thing. Exactly. And I agree with you 100%. And as a professional, he knows as quickly as this is happening, he knows that the guy's in the air, and that's just, or he should know that that's just one of those no-nos. I know, I get it. I can't argue for him. I just want to be clear that I think he's not being snide as in I'm trying to hurt the player. He's being snide as in I'm trying to create a free kick.
No, and I accept that. Except John Kazin says that it's not a red in rugby. Even in rugby, the law protects the players in the air. It is actually, John, because he's not attempting to go for the ball. If you don't attempt to go for the ball, it's the red card in the air. So you're incorrect there, I'm afraid. Sorry.
There's a wider issue at play here as well. And I'll let OG have a shout on this as well. But my kind of third and final point on the whole thing was I listened to Rio. I come out with sound bites and I have no brain between my fucking thick skull Ferdinand after the game. This man is this is a man who had Ollie at the wheel and claimed Man United were going to win the Champions League. By the way, just going to float that one out there.
It's my point on that. Chris, if it was United having this, he'd be all over.
But it's a systemic problem of the game, Jace. Is that I think Clive AFC tweeted this and he said this is a problem that's been going on and players have been getting injured with this sort of challenge for years. It's not just Arsenal players. This is not Arsenal thing. This is a wider thing. And what's the argument that someone like Rio Ferdinand, who let's not forget is being paid thousands of pounds to go on national broadcast or worldwide broadcasting, particularly as the Premier League, all eyes are on the Premier League at the moment, and he has the temerity to sit in that studio and say, okay, he's saying the player doesn't go to do him, that's fine, but he's saying it's a contact sport. And these things, well, if it's a contact sport, Rio, I'll poke you in the fucking eye. That's a contact sport. We don't want to take contact away. There's also a rule book, and you can't, you by saying it's a contact sport, you're essentially saying these things happen. No. They don't happen if the player does not get away with what is a foul in the rule book. And it's the cowardly nature of the challenge that's the issue. If two players come together, a la Lacazette, Bissouma, or there was one, I think, in the first half. That is a challenge where two players come in at an angle, and but there was Bissouma.
Bissouma made a challenge in the air, okay, and his arms up. Now, to be fair, the arm's not flailing. The arm was just up because the way he thinks. And I got no problem with that, okay, because he's not, there's no, it's just two players going for the ball. But again, okay, when you're not attempting to go for the ball, okay, when you're leaving one on him, you know what you're doing. And that's my big problem. OG, what's your take on this, pal?
It's a foul. Obviously, I think we've covered that to death. But, from my perspective, it's a yellow card at most. And folks may disagree with me on that. And I'm going to make some comments about that because, JC said it yourself, we've all played this game.
Yeah.
I'd be lying if I said I hadn't, as a striker when I played, I hadn't made that exact same challenge. The outcome was obviously different. The most I've ever seen in any, and you see it every weekend in any game you watch. Every game has something like that where there's a striker who knows what they're doing. They know what he knew what he was doing. No disagreement there. He's trying to force something to happen. That's all he's trying to do. And he fucked it up, and it should be a free kick, yellow card. 100% right. But, it's hard for me when I think about that incident and a horrible outcome to Leno. And I think about it in comparison. I'm going to bring up another really senseless foul from a few years ago. I'm going to talk about Debussy when he was shoved into the boards by that fucking idiot Arnautovic, right? And to me, that there's a difference between those two things, right? There's no outcome what Arnautovic does that is good. There's none. Yeah. But there is a slight difference there, and I was thinking about it. I'm like, to me, those are that's sort of the gray area where it transitions from gray to black and white. A red card should have been for Arnautovic, but this one for me, it's a yellow card. It should be a yellow card. He got it wrong. And then what happens, and I think Kris, you came onto it, is with the gravity. It's like when you watch it. When you get hit in the air, your first instinct is to put out your limbs to balance yourself. And he's holding the ball, so his leg comes out, and it's just so unfortunate. And then the thing that pissed me off mostly, and I know we're going to come on to what happens at the end of the game, is this has happened so many times to us where a guy should be on a yellow or two yellows. Was it earlier this season at Chelsea with Jorginho? Didn't he pop up and score a goal after he should have been sent off? And I'm not saying again that Mope should have been sent off specifically. He should have had a yellow card for the challenge on Leno. And there were some other challenges in that game that were yellow card offenses that maybe weren't given. It just seems to be this pattern that, and again, it's teams, they know they can rough us up. They know they can have a go at us. And we're not getting the protection from the ref. I'm not blaming the ref. I know you're stronger than that, but we just don't get it. And that's the part that pisses me off. And seeing Mope doing this after, and like to your point, Jace, if I'm Kolasinac out on that field, Hulk smash, buddy.
Yeah,
Hulk fucking smash.
This is part of my problem with it, Canada. Mope's made a cheap shot. Fine, right? You get that. The referee doesn't want to know. He doesn't want to fuck. He's shit out already. Okay. Where are our guys? Where are our guys? You've got to be in fucking people's faces. You've got to be forcing them into decisions. You've got to be telling them, hey, don't leave yourself fucking open, mate, because I'm fucking doing you. I'm fucking 2-footing you, you cunt. I'm going to break you in half, okay? And not one of them. Fucking
Jace, do you not wonder? I'm not sure if any of them even know what happened. Like at the moment, the way it happened, the play had been lobbed over. The ball was lobbed over. It was this innocuous looking play coming in. Everybody had relaxed up. All of a sudden you hear Leno screaming, and everybody kind of suddenly realizes what's going on. I'm not sure if anybody even was.
Yeah, but Cory, surely your defenders have got to be looking back to see what's happening with the ball as to where happened. Where did we go here?
I don't know.
Do you know what I mean?
It's all part of this lackadaisical kind of attitude of ours.
Simon put in our group. Simon was in the stands for the Standard, okay? And he put in the group, Christ, you could hear the scream from here. Okay?
It was awful. It was awful. It was awful.
Hear that, okay, right now. At that point, you hear the scream, you're on your toes. The first thing, you're on your toes. I'm just they're gutless. They're from one to them gutless.
I think there's a bigger thing at play here, though, Jace. I don't get it wrong. I do agree with you that we do have this tag as Southern softies, and I blame Tony Pulis and Stoke for it because that's where it all started, and it's progressed and it's carried on. Don't get me wrong.
I do too.
We don't stand up for ourselves enough. We've lost a lot of characters. You know, your Keogh and Joe Adams is exactly in their day. It was different, but it's a different game. But what I would say is that if the referee and the VAR officials and, for Christ's sake, the people that run this league are enforcing the actual rule book, then this stops. And if you put out a thing at the start of the season, you say any challenge made in the air that is clearly not going for the ball or is late is a straight red, you stop it instantly. But Chris, that's a bigger thing at play here, you know?
Do you know why? You go ahead.
The annoyance is since the 50th game, right? Since the 50th game against United, where we saw Reyes kicked off the park, okay, where you saw diving, where you saw things, okay, we haven't had the rub of the green since then. Then that was instilled into the brains of referees that we're soft, we're this, we're that, okay. So if there is that image out there, you have to change it. Now you watch, you remember when Mourinho was at Chelsea first time. They'd surround the referee. They'd put pressure on him into things. We haven't done that. And that is, I have an issue with that, okay? You know, you can't go around hitting people. We know that, okay? You've got to have your hands behind your back. But you can force the referee into decisions by being such a pain in the ass to him. He has to make a decision. You've got to apply pressure to the referee. Now, we haven't done that. We got a player getting carried off, having a go at Maupay, and we're all fucking stood around like bitches. Mm-hmm. You know, where is somebody should be in his face? You're a cunt. You're a cunt. You're a cunt. You know, you've got to be baiting him at that point. You've got to.
Surprised nobody kicked him because with Leno's reaction, if the players did have any doubt, with Leno's reaction, that doubt was erased. It was very clear that Leno was pissed off, and I'm quite surprised that. I mean, but then again, you look through our 11. And other than Guendouzi, who else would have kicked him up in the air? Not one of them. So and Guendouzi only threw a and by the way, his reaction was ridiculous.
Boys,
fuck off! I've had enough of you. You can go to hell. I'm done with that sort. I'm done with snidey arseholes. You can fuck off. Okay, sorry, carry on.
Well,
I just Mopé's reaction to Guendouzi. I think that's the bit that sort of grates in my craw a bit. If you to mention OG's point there, if you do somebody in a game, if you do on somebody in a game, certainly don't do that. Gary Lineker will tell you. But if you do someone in a game and you make the mistake where you know that you have done someone or you know that you have made a mistake, you own that mistake and you behave yourself for the rest of the game. You don't run around on the pitch. And as soon as he went through on goal, I was like, well, this is obvious, isn't it? I know I'll come on to it. But you at least own it, and he was given his whole, I didn't do anything. And as soon as Guendouzi, let's be honest, he shouldn't really swing an art or throw a little rabbit punch. But Maupay on the floor holding his guts, and he clearly swears at Guendouzi in French after the whistle. He's French. That was very obvious. I think Philippe Leclerc picked up on that. So, I mean, it's, if you're going to be a Bellerin, he'll get his. Don't get me wrong. I've
got to be honest. If somebody breaks his legs tomorrow, I'm going to laugh. I don't like being like that at all.
He's got a history of it at Brentford. He was not a popular character in the Championship.
Here's the thing, boys. I want to say one thing about this getting in people's faces after this challenge. And it's a short comment, but it's so important. This is what you need to understand. When you don't do that as a team, when you don't stand up for your teammates that are on the ground, whether it was a red card, a yellow card, who gives a shit? I don't care about that right now. But when you don't do that, you are giving every team in the league permission to keep doing that. And so we wonder, why do teams bully us?
Yeah.
Why do they?
Because we're bullyable.
Because
we're bullyable.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. That's a much bigger problem than today.
We're impotent.
Yeah, we are. Anyway, but we spent far too long on that. This end of the first half, we had more moments. They had a couple of moments. Scalotto at the end. But my Cory to you on this. Average first half. We are disjointed. You got new midfield. The midfield can't get up and support. That's not their fault necessarily. Okay, we are gutless. That's just no getting away from it.
Yeah,
Arteta shaking Mbappé's hand will haunt me. It will haunt me in my sleep. Okay. How do you feel the first half went? We've had a tough time Wednesday night, and we come back to that.
Well, I wasn't not happy, if that makes sense. I wasn't not happy. So, I thought it was at least positive. I couldn't say I was ecstatic. I wasn't not happy, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it?
Yeah.
It was difficult. Right, on to the second half. You get an Auba shot saved by Ryan. An Aubameyang goal given offside. He was offside. No mistake about that. Lacazette, funny enough, picks up a yellow card for going in on Ryan. At that point, I tell you what, the TV nearly went out the window. It was that bad. But we did start brightly, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. I mean, I think the commentators where I was watching, we're talking about the mentality after you've seen a player seriously hurt. I mean, and I don't want to go too much backwards on this, but Leno, we all heard it. We heard it on our TV. Unless you had your TV muted, we heard it. That has a mental impact on already soft mental team.
Yeah.
So I wasn't really sure what was going to happen in the second half. To be honest, we've seen better Arsenal teams crumble with significant injuries to our squad. And to the credit, they came out fighting. And you mentioned Aubameyang's offside goal. I just want to make a comment about that. I think I remember thinking like he's clearly, I thought for sure he's offside the way the team stops and there's that moment, but he finished it off because there was no whistle. But I like it because of VAR. So that's something they've been coached on. It's clear that they've been coached on it. You just play. I mean, we all know the old coaching, you play to the whistle, but I like that because you just don't know. And he's just going to play it out until VAR says no. And I actually like that. The fact it wasn't an actual goal is a bit unfortunate because it was very, very close. But yeah, we did start brightly. And again, I thought it was Saka that was at the heart of a lot of great things in that second half early on. He was playing well. He obviously has the assist for Pepe's goal, who,
Well, we haven't come down. Don't spoil it. Don't spoil it. Spoilers.
But the pace seems right. I talked about earlier about how we didn't have a lot of rhythm and teams haven't had a lot of rhythm in these early games. We did seem to have a little bit of rhythm, a little bit more possession. We were finding a little bit better passes. And we started to see, like you said, Aubameyang gets his chance. We've got a save by Ryan and things are starting to happen. So, generally, I was impressed with sort of that first 10 to 15 minutes period of the second half where we just started to run the game and get the tempo right. I don't know if you agree, Jace, but for me, it was a better start.
Yeah, I got to be honest. I was happy the way we started both halves. Okay, I want a little bit more vim from us, but I think with the personnel changes we've had to make and the lack of depth, Arteta's got his hands slightly tied behind his back. I think it's very difficult. you can't magically change who's available to you. You've got what you've got. But, we said this under Unai, we said under Freddie, you have to make the most of what you have. And, with all the pace we've got up top, okay, with Auba, with Pepe, with Xhaka and stuff like that, you've got to get them running at these big lads. And we didn't do that at all. And that I was really disappointed in. If you're not making these guys turn and, and really putting pressure on them, it's an issue. That's one of the disappointments I've got. Kris, you got Martinez saving from Pepe when we were poor in clearing the ball. You got, funny enough, okay, and this is the thing, we're going to come up to it. I want you to have this, mate. I want you to have a little bit of glory here, okay? I was beginning to question Pepe, okay? Ryan saved from Auba. Pepe, you've got Burn on a yellow card. He's not running at him. He's holding play up, which is obviously a tactical thing. Do you know what I mean? It's something that Mikel's worked on because he wouldn't do it every time if not. But you've got a guy on a yellow card, you've got Moy on a yellow card, Burn on a yellow card. We're not running at him, and I was beginning to get frustrated. And funny enough, right before I was about to put in, what the fuck's Pepe doing? Okay? You get a beautifully curled shot. Talk me through it.
Yeah, this is what frustrates me when people sort of say, is he worth this? Is he worth that? This is what you'll get from Pepe when everything sort of clicks into gear. He'd had a pretty average game, I think it would be fair to say. He wasn't, as you said, he wasn't particularly inspirational down that right hand side, or when he switched over. He wasn't sort of taking players on, but the one thing that he did do is he kept going all game and he kept getting into positions. And I felt him and Alba, especially on those wide flanks, were not getting a huge amount of service. We were sort of driving down the wings from midfield, i.e., we were getting the ball. That's obvious.
I love that. That's the best comment I've heard all day.
But yeah, we were almost sort of, the fullbacks were getting forward and we were getting the central midfielders taking the ball and going wide, but we weren't actually feeding that width. I did feel a bit for Alba and Pepe, but when you get him into that position and he has the confidence to do that, and he's very gifted at that cutting inside and drilling a shot kind of situation. He's a very good player to watch in terms of sort of finesse shots. He knows where the corners are. He's very rarely sort of just smashing it. It's always in the corners. And it was a terrific goal. And at that stage, I could only see one winner because it felt like that, as you said, that took the wind out of Brighton. And it was a goal so much out of nothing because we'd almost looked as though we'd kind of gone, well, we haven't really got much here. Our build-ups were slow. We weren't taking the game to Brighton. We were sort of pity-patting in front of them and not really going anywhere. And it was almost that moment where Pepe just sort of went, I'm just gonna do this on my own, and he did, and it was a delicious strike. And over Matt Ryan, he put it in the one position the goalkeeper couldn't get to it, and that's what you'll get from him. And yeah, I know, I do get. Don't get me wrong, I'm not blind. I get when people say, "Oh, is he worth 72 million?" Well, for a start, no footballer's worth 72 million, but that's a broader point. But everybody takes time, and you can sign a player for 4 million, and he can hit the ground running and be absolutely brilliant. You can sign a player for 100 million and it might not come good. Antoine Griezmann hasn't set the world on fire at Barcelona. Certain players take time and they fit systems, and it takes a while for them to get comfortable in what they're doing. And Mikel's comments about Pepe in the week clearly say that, or show that he's getting there, but he is still finding his feet. And he hasn't had, and we said this on the last show, he hasn't had a consistent run of games. Hopefully he'll get that now. I mean, he should with that sort of goal, because that just proves that when everything clicks into gear, he's a match winner. Unfortunately, obviously, that didn't pan out. But you have a player on the pitch like that to do that.
Yeah, I thought the precision of the goal, I thought it was stupendous. Do you know what I mean? It was magic. The curl he got on the shot, and you know me, I'm pretty harsh on people at times, but I thought fair play to him. He knew what he was doing. He knew what he went for, what he's going for, and he got it there. Cory. Yeah. I've just highlighted a couple of different opinions on Pepe's performance today, guys. I think, we all watch the game from different perspectives, okay? And we're not always going to agree, and we're not always going to be right and always going to be wrong. But, what a goal, fair play to him. What a goal. Cory, your thoughts on the goal, because Oh, I was happy.
I see you put a comment here from Sai Anvesh there. And actually, I completely agree. And it was what I was going to just say to add on to what Kris was saying is it's so important, the combinations of the fullback with that wing position. And we haven't developed that chemistry at all. Now, of course, Arteta was in charge of 10 games previous to the COVID lockdown. And now he's got 2 games on the restart. And the development of that combination in actual gameplay, it just hasn't been there. Both right and left side. So, for instance, I would say Bellerin's our best right back. I would say Tierney is our best left back. I know that Xhaka played very well in that position there, but I don't consider him to be a left back. And then the important thing is for that relationship to develop between your Tierney and Aubameyang and your Bellerin and Pepe, and I don't see it yet. So your question was about the goal, the amazing, beautiful skill. I really like Pepe. I really hope for him to succeed. He does get the shit kicked out of him a lot, which worries me, but he's amazing. When you do see the way, you know what, he's got this ability like Saka does. They both have this ability where you think he's lost the ball, and somehow he does this thing where he just pulls it along, and suddenly it's back in his feet again. And then scoring that goal was beautiful. But I think it's more dependent on the relationship that he's going to need with Bellerin. That's going to be so important.
That doesn't look as if it's developed enough as of yet, is it?
I don't. It's not at all. Does it worry you that, should we be worried that it hasn't developed, or is it just natural because they haven't played together?
I thought Bellerin was quite poor today, to be honest with you. And I'm a big Hector fan. I am worried. I got to be honest with you. I am concerned. People say, oh, they've had 3 months to get this right. No, they haven't. They haven't had 3 months at all, okay? You know what I mean?
We've had this worry about Bellerin, though, since his injury, haven't we?
Yeah.
He never came back. He never came back like the same.
He's lost a step.
Yeah.
He's lost a step. And it's like Walcott, too. When Walcott did his knees, he lost that step. It wasn't the same.
And the thing is, okay, he can still be a good player without the step. Do you know what I mean? He offers you plenty. He's into play. But I think if you look at our defence, okay, centre-backs have chopped and changed. Midfield has chopped and changed. I think throughout this team, there's plenty of doubt because we haven't got a solid team moving forward at the moment. You look at the amount of injuries from Wednesday night. You look at the different lineup today. We need some consistency. We need people talk about not getting Europe next season. Okay, it maybe have helped us going forward, but we really need to spend some quality time on the training ground, getting these combinations going. It really does worry me. I've got to be honest with you.
Have you seen the quote?
No, I haven't. Sorry, Pam.
Have you seen the Malpai quote? Arsenal players need to learn humility. Maybe sometimes they've talked a lot first half, second half. When they were 1-0 up, they got what they deserved. Well, I hope you deserve to walk in front of a truck, Neil. So all the best.
Not being funny, mate. If anything bad happens to you,
imagine coming out. When all the dust has settled and everything's chilled. Imagine coming out and giving an interview and still being an arrogant cunt. Imagine.
He's a piece of, let's be honest, he's a piece of shit, okay? And I really hope Brighton go down and go bankrupt. Fucking don't like them. Bunch of scumbags, okay?
Coming for you.
You what? I don't care.
He's demonstrated a complete lack of self-awareness.
Exactly. That's exactly it.
What the cheek of that bullshit, man.
Canadian of you.
Let's be honest, okay? If both of his knees get fucking shot by a 12 ball, I'm not going to cry over it.
Allegedly.
Well, let's carry on. I'm a bitter man. I'm a bitter man. What can I say? Okay, so G, on the 79th minute, Brighton got a corner. They're showing 2 men for the corner. Okay, they're showing there's 2 guys at the corner. It's only Hector up on his own. Okay, to mark the 2-man corner. They work it really well, and I hate to give him any credit, but Maupai in front of Martinez gets a little flick on in the air. Do you know what I mean? It goes through the dunk, and Holding can't do anything about it. It's pinball time, and it's an equalizer. How were we switched off at a corner? Please tell me, Nate.
If I had the answer to that, Jace, I'd be the manager of Arsenal. I would. Yeah. It's every fucking game we switch off on a set piece. Sure. Every game, especially a near post set piece. How many games has it been where we're standing there, we're not organized, and it doesn't take long. I mean, we're talking about the Premier League. It's a quick game. It's at the highest level. You switch off for 5 seconds, and they knew exactly. They worked it well. You said it well. They worked it well, but we didn't. We flattered them in the way we set up for that, and that's all it takes. By the time that ball is coming across, it's already done. It's already done. The problem has already happened. You're right. Like Holding couldn't do a whole lot about it. It's done. And
can I just add something? You know how a really, really good team will have that one moment in a game where they switch off for 5 seconds? Yeah. We will do it every 15 minutes. Do you see the difference? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, sorry to interrupt. Carry on, Geoff. Just wanted to say.
Well, no, I mean, I think that's the point. And I know Rudy had a comment on the screen there, and shout out to you, Rudy, but we didn't do enough to win that game. When we have our first, sorry, Cory, I just want to continue my thought here. When we have our first choice backline, so we've got Leno in goal, arguably whoever our best center backs are on the day, you could, draw some names out of a fucking hat, and our fullbacks. When we have our best center backs, I don't think one of us on the panel today or anyone in the chat would say 1 goal is enough for us to win a game.
No,
it's not. It's not. We got to score more. But secondly, when you switch off like that, and to Cory's point, every 15 minutes, every game, we're done. That mentality, we're done because we get punished every single time. There's some teams that don't get punished as much, but we do. And that's the thing. Like it happens every game. We switch off and we get punished, and it happens so quick. I imagine there are teams that watch us and analyze us, and they design those set pieces for that exact thing, for exactly what we saw. Short corner, near post, make the run. Hey, they're not set. They're done.
The annoying thing is somebody somewhere knows it's their responsibility to be there with Hector. Okay, they know. We set up 2. It's the easiest 2-on-1 possible for Brighton to do it, and they executed it perfectly. I think it was Trossard with the cross. Okay, and Maupai, lovely feet, to be fair to him. Okay, and dunk. He finished it. I know people can criticize Holding, but that ball's going about. You are not in control there. You can't get his feet to it. It's just too difficult, and it's 1-1, and it's gutless. It's poor. It's amateurish. It's the same old fucking story. And I'm sorry, but Mikel Arteta has to take responsibility on this. Why are we there? Why are we there allowing this to happen without, if somebody's putting a screaming cross to beat the man, do you know what I mean? And it's a lovely bit of work. If you look at the Pepe goal, you can't blame Matt Ryan for that. You can't blame the defender for that. He's got the pressure on. It's just a stroke of brilliance. This was poor all round. And I was frustrated. Kris, we then see Basuma. Is it Basuma? Sorry, Basuma. I do. Challenge on Lacazette. It's poor. It's like his 8th or 9th challenge of the game. No yellow. Okay. We then see, and this bit I was going, do you know what? You know when the bad news starts to pile up, okay? And you're ready to blow, right? This is the point where the TV nearly went out the window. We go to make 2 substitutions. Eddie replaced Laka, and Tierney was supposed to come on, and it didn't happen. Now, you can turn around and maybe blame the 4th official or Martin Atkinson, but surely it's incumbent on us to make sure we get these substitutions correct. Kris, talk to me.
On both points. Firstly, I genuinely don't know what the protocol is for substitutions anymore. I think in my day, you used to hand a piece of paper to the 4th official with the name and the number on. The electronic ball went up, and it was that simple. I don't know whether with this new rule there's some confusion. I don't know whether it wasn't communicated clearly enough by our management team that we were bringing on 2, 3, 4, whatever it was. It does seem like a bit of a strange one. In a weird way as well, I don't know whether that may have inadvertently contributed towards us switching off towards the end of the game, because we made those changes a lot later than we had planned to. And when I say a lot later, I'm probably talking about 7 or 8 minutes. We're not talking hours, but those 7 or 8 minutes is time that players like Reece Nelson and Kieran Tierney would get in the game and would have their focus on, particularly towards the end of the game. So I do wonder if that had a little bit of a part to play in the ultimately winning goal. I just felt that having not made the substitution, we probably should have just not made it, or just brought on the one player we intended to in Kieran Tierney and saved the others for another day. Because at that point, it looked like it was playing out to be a draw. So I was a little bit surprised that he did bring on as many as he did. That was a bit of a surprising one. It was just it was a very poor end to the game. Is what I would say. I'm sure you're going to come on to the goal in a second, but yeah, the substitution was a strange old situation, and I don't know what the protocol is. Maybe I have to ask Simon to get to the bottom of what went on there. But yeah, it does seem like a bit of a weird situation. Surely the 2 players that are on the touchline are the 2 you want to bring on. I don't really understand. It might have been the 4th official that copped that. We don't know. Because to be fair, Arteta looked pretty pissed off himself.
He did, but I thought you hand the list to the 4th official. That's what I was saying. Yeah. Just, and if he's handed those 2 things, those 2 players should be able to go on under that one window. Yeah. But obviously, I don't know what's gone on there, but it was amateurish.
Jace, 2 things almost happened there, though. I want to just say, one, after that happens, I think Xhaka pops up in the box and almost has a goal. So you look at that, and the other thing. And Kris, I know you guys are going to come on to this. What happened at the end with those 3 subs? We changed out, what is that, 30% of our outfield team with 8 minutes to go?
I want to come to that in a second, mate. I want to come to that in a second, actually.
I'll leave it.
Because I've got to be honest with you. There are a few things that are surprise, okay? There's a few things annoying me. Surprise. Right? Honestly. I live on my nerves when it comes to watching stuff like this, and my nerves are like a roller coaster at this point. Cory, Basuma on Saka. And my exact notes are, that's got to be 10 fouls, Atkinson, you cunt. Where the fuck's the yellow? I thought Basuma was superb. I thought he was brilliant. I thought by far the best midfielder on the park. I remember the fanfare when Dani Ceballos came here. Well, I've got to be honest, Dani Ceballos, I wouldn't fucking touch him with a barge ball. Okay, and even though I do accept it's difficult for him and Guendouzi together, but Basuma, he got away with murder and he took full advantage of it, and he was superb, wasn't he?
Yeah, can you tell me how Lacazette got a yellow card for that? Just reaching in basically on Ryan. Yeah, he was a little late. He gets a yellow card. Bang. Yeah. Just like that. And this Basuma guy, who I would love a combative player like that in my team. I'm not going to strip him for that, but come on, give me a freaking break. Yeah. It's as if that guy didn't foul himself off the park a couple of times, So amazing.
I was so frustrated.
You could even rewind this to just before the Leno injury. There is an elbow in Saka's face. Yeah. And it's Basum with this guy, number 8. They're number 8. he doesn't mean it. He's just a reach back, but it's a free kick. And it would have been the ball going, because what happened was that was ignored. The ball sequenced on. There was a free kick off the sideline. Then the ball was punched back and kicked over, and so on and so forth. So all these fouls, again, it's the same thing all the time, isn't it? We're just not getting the calls. And I think Kris alluded to it earlier. It's like whatever that coach was that you said, Kris. The old Stoke, just come out and beat us up, because the referees will let you beat Arsenal up. It's just the way of the world, isn't it?
I got to be honest. I was watching it again. I was watching Basuma's performance, and half of me is full of admiration for him because I think he's played really, really well. I love a dirty player. Okay, I do. I love a dirty player. You know me, boys. Okay, I love the dark arts. Okay, acceptance against us, but I couldn't understand what on earth. It's when Rich Kakis put it there. Yves Bissouma is the second player to commit 6 or more fouls in a game against the Arsenal season without getting booked. Jordan Ayew at Palace was the other one. I absolutely. I was shocked by the refereeing performance there. Because he should have picked up a yellow in the first half, and that changes his performance going forward, and that's the annoyance. But fair play to him. The boy played his socks off. We see Saka have a shot blocked, Auba have a shot blocked, Ryan save from Mustafi at a corner. We were having opportunities without really going for it and without it being clear cut. But then on the 86th minute, we make the triple substitution. Willock, Nelson, Tierney for Pepe, Saka, Ceballos. Okay. What's the point at this point?
Where do you want me to start with this one? Here's the thing. Here's what I think is happening right now. I think Arteta is overcomplicating some things. And I think there's a lot of things going on, and there's a lot of reasons why. One, second game after a prolonged delay to the season. Guys aren't 100% fit. I know we talked about that earlier. So he's trying to manage it that way. And he's maybe getting a bit too cute with his subs on that. So that, I think, is in his head. Maybe, fitness is a little bit gone. We know late in the game we're prone to conceding a goal. I don't think he's playing for the tie. I don't think that's what's going on. The second thing, and I've watched the way he's managed the squad these last 2 games, and we've seen a rotation. I do think he's got one eye on the fact that next season we probably are going to be down a couple of these senior players, and we can, I don't want to talk too much about that, but he's trying to bring in our youth team because if all the news is to, and it's not a stretch to say we don't have a ton of money. We're going to have to rely on these guys. I think he's trying to get them in and get them some minutes. And so I think he's a little bit too cute. And then the other thing is the Saka sub doesn't happen in that sort of gong show that it was. So then he's got this third guy now going with these other 2 subs. And all of that together, it just makes a massive problem because you're right. We were showing a few signs there that we could get something from the game. And the guys that were showing it were guys like Saka. He was still going. He looked fit. He was the one guy that was driving and trying to make things happen. And to me, I watched that sub, and it like, even when they tried to make it, and they're bringing in Tierney for Saka. Like, what are you guys thinking? And so I just really think Arteta, he maybe overthought the subs or whatever.
But okay, so we're going to talk about this more on the flip side of this, okay, in the question side of it. But of the 3 substitutions, you need a goal, okay? You want to go and win the game. Martinelli, Ozil.
Totally.
Do you know what I mean? I mean, I get Nelson, but our most prolific goal scorer this season, outside of Aubameyang, is Gabriel Martinelli.
He made substitutions as if we were in the lead. That's what I saw. Those substitutions were the same substitutions you would have made if we were 2-1 up.
Well, I do you know what? I'm not going to argue that point because I totally agree with it. I think you're not far. All right, sorry, I'm going to put this up.
We weren't. He didn't make substitutions to try and win that game. Is what we saw, isn't it? Like you say, if you wanted to win that game, you'd have put Martinelli on or Ozil or somebody who's going to win you the game, right?
Yeah, it is. I tell you what, we've got something in the chat box called Bob FDS. Okay, when we first came in the chat box today, I thought this fucker won't last long. And to be fair, Bob, okay, you've been great in there. There's a bit of banter back and forth. Well played. You and Avon are having a bit of fun. Thunder Road, Julian Salmon, Orpheus, everybody, and 235 100. Everybody's having a bit of fun. Well done, lads. I'm really enjoying that. We've got to kick one out today, but that's for persistent defences, and I've just had a gutsful. Kris, we then come. It's the 99th minute. Maupay, of all the people to score. There's a throw-in. There's nowhere near enough pressure on the throw-in. You know what I mean? Midfield's gone missing. Guendouzi, to be fair, he's run his heart out all day. I'm not going to blame him. But, you know, it's Maupay, interchange with O'Connell. And to be fair, it's a really well-worked goal, I think. What was your take on it?
It's a really well worked goal that should never have been allowed to happen. In my humble opinion, forgive the older amongst you and probably certainly you, Jace, but OG and I described this as the classic FIFA goal because it's 1 minute and 32 seconds over the allotted time that was given. And in the gaming industry, that's known as scripting or DDA, dynamic difficulty adjustment. And that's honestly what it felt like to me. It's like, hang on a minute, I got up. I put the kettle on. You know, I was kind of halfway out the room because I was like, right, well, this is going into a 1-1 draw. Where did that minute and a half come from? And I know somebody's going to pop up now and go, well, there was 3 substitutions, I think you'll find. Well, I think you'll find it's 30 seconds per substitution, but not when you're making 5 substitutions a game, and surely not when you're allowed to make 3 individual changes. You're seriously telling me that that's the reason why? I mean, I just can't understand where that time came from. And also, surely those substitutions were made in the allotted 90 minutes, so they should have been added in as the added time in itself, not added time on added time. Correct me if I'm wrong, but there was no substitutions in added time.
Chris, I've got to admit, at this point, okay, I wanted to punch the television. Okay, so I'd lost all semblance of common sense, you know.
I mean, I was done.
Genuinely, there was some... There's some geezer walking past out here, okay, you know, and I'm thinking my TV would land fucking pretty well in his head. Okay? You know what I mean? And the poor bugger's done nothing, you know? It's just it's just temper tantrum. I just don't get where it came from. And as I say, that's why we described it as a FIFA goal, because it's the sort of thing that happens, you know, in a make-believe world, not in a real world. And it was just like, I mean, it doesn't excuse our defending. It doesn't excuse the fact that we've switched off again in the 90th minute. It's a good finish. I don't put any blame at Martinez. I thought the 1-2 was really good. I thought it was well executed. You know, to be fair to the defenders, and I don't even know who was defending it, because as I say, my temper was through the roof at this point. Okay? Yeah. But I just, you know, when you looked at the replay, you thought, they haven't got a hope there.
No, it was a good. I just want to nod to Orpheus, 100%, my friend. It was just one of those where I just looked at it, I was like, well, I did do that double take. I was like, and because you've got no crowd noise, well, in the stream I watched, unfortunately, does. And by the way, get rid of that. It's garbage, hot garbage. At least with Sky, you can just turn the channels. Yeah. So BT, you have to log in online. Fuck that shit. But because the crowd noise is so half-assed, I was like, you know, because normally you can tell. So if you look away from the screen, the crowd react, you look up and something happens. So I was like, what's just happened here? And of course it'd be Maupay. I mean, of course, the script was written, it was there for him, wasn't it? It was so obvious. Yes, it's a good finish. And you know, it's not being sour grapes. I don't feel like either side deserves to win that game. I think 1-1 would have been perfectly fair, because I don't think either side were particularly good for the whole 90 minutes. And if anyone was going to win it, it should have been us, having taken the lead. But this is again symptomatic of, we'll talk about the new normal. Well, this is the new old Arsenal, isn't it? You know, it's that there were years previously where if Arsenal scored first, that was it. Those days are long gone now. In fact, you'd probably make quite a lot of money in the betting world if you put some money on the opposition to win from behind, because it seems that we seem to throw away far too many leads than is comfortable to accept these days. So yeah, I mean it's the perfect finish to a shitty week, really, isn't it? And all thoughts of Champions League now. I know we discussed it on the last show, but right now, if I was Arteta, I'd be saying, do you know what? That's it. We're done now. Don't worry about Europe. Let's try and win an FA Cup. But other than that, let's just take it.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. So the game ends. There's shenanigans at the end because Maupay was play acting. He talks, and I mean, he sat in the centre circle, and then Guendouzi went for him. I didn't quite understand what had happened initially, but I'm sorry, Matteo, it's too late. You should have been going at him at the Leno injury, and you can't raise your hands to another player in the park because you're asking for trouble. We're already down to bare bones. When you're going for them, it's hands behind your back. It's use your head. It's be horrible. It's be snidey. Really go for them. Cory, my overall feeling about the game is one of utter disgust.
Yeah, that's the word I was going to use. Disgust.
I'm ashamed of them. I'm ashamed of them. I'm not having to go at Mikel Arteta here because when you're on the pitch, once I get his issues with the personnel at the moment, okay, and he's gone for what he's seen as the best way forward. We can all have our opinions, fine, okay. You can all disagree with me. I don't mind. I think you'll all have a valid opinion on this, but not having each other's back on the pitch is a cardinal sin. It's a cardinal sin, and we didn't do it, and we weren't in their face. We didn't apply any pressure on Maupay. We weren't going in late on him. We weren't leaving one on him. We weren't trying to get him riled. We had 2 players in yellow cards. We didn't run at them once. We didn't do anything, and I'm ashamed of our team today. Auba's not a captain, never in a million years, but there's no other option on the pitch to my mind. How do you feel, pal?
Well, I was just going to add to that. I don't know how many different sports you watch. I mean, I tend to just watch football now, but I've gone through quite a lot of different sports. And, one thing about every championship team that I've ever watched, it's consistent between them all, is a relentless pursuit of exactly that team mentality. I've got your back. I will die for you kind of mentality. And Kris is right. Long are the days since 1-0 to the Arsenal. You know what I mean?
I thought in last season in the home game against Tottenham, you've got Guendouzi and Rambo squaring off to the Tottenham team. Do you know what I mean? There's people being grabbed by the shirt. There's people going in, and I thought we were going to see a change in attitude, but it hasn't happened at all, is it?
No, it's just little flashes. I'd forgotten all about that, to tell you honestly, and I'm glad you brought that up because we tend to be so overwhelmed with how bad things can be. But I mean, one thing that I've noticed is about 3 days ago, I got this pain. It just in the lower part of my neck back. It came, been gone for about 3 months. I hadn't felt that pain for a while. The pain is back.
Yeah, tell me about it. Wednesday brought a lot of those things back. Geoff?
Yep.
Sum it up, pal.
What more can I say?
Have a smoking gun.
Kris is talking about FIFA. I didn't play. For those of you who play FIFA, I decided not to play Weekend League because I wanted to avoid all the sweaty fucking bullshit in that game this weekend and the 95th minute goals that I fucking concede. And here I am. I'm hungover. I'm pissed off about the Arsenal. They're supposed to be my happy place. They haven't been for years. So fuck, man, on we go. Onwards and upwards. The stupid little half season needs to fucking get it in the fucking sea. Pardon my F-bombs, but,
crack on.
It is what it is. It's a bunch of fucking crap. And, the team has a lot of fucking work to do. They got to look in the mirror and fucking learn how to fight for each other. And that's all I want for the rest of the season. Wherever we finish, I just want to see a bit of fucking fight in our belly, right? Because it's not good enough. And at the end of the day, there's no sense of entitlement here coming through this mic. There's no sense like, well, we have to finish top 4. We're the Arsenal. Fuck that. But I think every single one of us would say we're not at our best. And I want to see some fight out of this team and just, it's a bit silly, but, get a bit of pride in the shirt you're wearing and get out there and just fucking fight for every game because it's just not good enough. And again, man, we could go back 2, 3, 4 seasons of this podcast and I'm sure you, me, Jace, Kris, everyone on the show has said something like that. And, it's something's got to give.
Funny enough, it reminded me of a live show, myself, Kris, and Shredder did against Stoke. And it's going bananas. Then it reminded me of the Crystal Palace game, okay, where we all went bananas. And it's the first time I ever heard Kris really go absolutely doolally tap at the players. And, it was a first, and it was like, now we're bad.
Dude, Sheffield Wednesday. Remember Sheffield Wednesday?
Oh, don't get me started. Yeah, look,
Blackburn.
we are.
Remember
Yeah.
Blackburn.
Oh, hey, look, stop it, you. Okay, stop it.
Yeah.
On to questions, guys. We're going to wrap it up now. We've been going for nearly an hour and a half. So we're just going to do 4 or 5 questions, and then we're going to call to an end. It's another super long one. In the run-in now for the season, I'm trying to give all the boys as much airtime as possible. And to be honest with you, because obviously of my and Kris' relationship with OG going back so long, the extra one went on today simply because we love podcasting with each other. When John Welsh is back on, you'll all go to hell. It's just me and John. Okay, as simple as that. Kris, first question to you, mate. Phil Bevan asks, given that what happened to Leno, is it time football should look at the likes of rugby and bring in serious repercussions for players taking other players out in the air?
Well, yeah. I mean, I touched on it earlier on. Just in terms of the rule book is there, the ruling is there. Players, managers, everybody, they go on about this word consistency. We go on about protecting our players. We're what better time than in this whole situation, the craziness that's going on in the world with pandemics, and we're walking around with masks on and we're spraying down footballs. Now, of all the times, are the times to protect players from injuries and protect players from getting needlessly hurt. Everybody understands when you play professional sport, you put yourself on the line. Week in, week out, game in, game out, that happens. And we all understand bad injuries happen sometimes because you play Stoke, other times because you just have an unfortunate coming together with players and in some cases teammates. Sometimes these injuries are freak injuries. But if we can eliminate the injuries where arrogant little toads like that go around and yes, we've all seen this argument. There's a snidey little cunt up the road who plays for Spurs, who wears number 7, who's just come back from military service. He's the king of but he's a lovely player. Yeah. He's not that type of player. Absolute bullshit. These players know what they're doing half the time. And as you said, and as OG's touched on it, I think Cory said it as well, if you put yourself in a position where even the slightest thought goes through your mind where you could hurt somebody, that's enough, because that is when you will hurt somebody. It's not the times when you're just committed and you go for a ball. Those sort of injuries happen. That's life. That's professional sport. What you don't do is essentially just turn a blind eye to a ruling when players have been, and again, we've had 3, maybe even 4 players who have been injured in this way in the last 3 or 4 seasons, and other teams have had it as well. Other teams have had injuries like this, and it's not acceptable. And when you're in the air, it should just be a very clear definition. Unless it is very clear on VAR that you're trying to play the ball, then that you should be booked or dismissed depending on the level of the foul.
Absolutely. Cory's just had his cherry popped by Thunder Road.
Do not let me drive your girlfriend home, dude. Really, seriously, do not trust me at all.
Fair play. I don't believe Thunder Road does this to everyone, okay? He'll troll us all, you know? And when he comes out with goals like that, you know, I just want to cry with laughter. Cory, now a question for you, pal. David Keith asks, how many games will we win at home, given the fact if it wasn't for our home form, right now we'd be in the relegation zone, and given the fact we have no fans, I think we will finish the season badly. What are your thoughts?
Man, I so want to disagree with you, but I can't. Honestly, it's kind of depressing, isn't it? No, I'm going to keep hope. I'm going to keep the hope. Everything's going to be okay. We're going to turn a corner. Something's going to happen. No, you're right. It's going to be awful.
Mr. Positivity there.
The thing is, like, I try and be positive, but then you just think about, like, our players are just dropping like flies. So honestly, like, we're just screwed. Like, who's our backup goalkeeper now after Martinez?
Matt Macy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Matt Macy. So he's now going to be sitting on the bench to back us up in a game against Tottenham. You know, like, think about that. Who's going to be our central defense? Like, where's our midfield? You know, like, well, yeah, it could get very ugly. That's the answer to your question.
Sorry, go on.
But I was just going to say, Jason, the problem as well is that, you know, before people would say like, oh, Sokratis is out for 2 weeks, and you'd go, oh, well, that's okay because that's only one game. Now it's like half a season because we've got like 8 games in three hours. So it's like, well, you know,
I got to be honest with you.
Out for 3 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not angry with that. I said I'm angry with the team at the moment. You know what I mean? But I can just see this getting toxic again. You know, I can just see it getting toxic again, and you just, oh God, you know,
don't go on Twitter, Jason. It's already toxic.
So listen,
it's already there.
So listen, we have 7 games left. How many points do you think we're going to get out of 7?
I'm not going down that road to get people.
Not enough is the answer. We should be saying that.
But this is the thing, okay? You look at it. I was really positive for City, and you know, all that positivity has been kicked up my anus by this team in 2 games, right? I'm looking at. I've got to be honest with you. I thought Xhaka was great today. I thought the midfield
Holding was very good. I know that goal went in off of him, but he had a good game considering.
I thought he and Mustafi were okay, right? But I didn't think they were anything great. But as a unit, we lacked fluidity. We didn't show for the ball. We didn't force. Their press was on. Nobody's dropping deep or pushing forward to try to pull them out of alignment to create that space. And this is just common sense stuff that any footballer does. And yet we weren't doing that. And Ceballos, you know, okay, he's only 23, but fucking hell, come on, Spanish international. You know, I'm thinking with a fucking penny, mate. I really don't. You know, Guendouzi tries hard. He's still learning. He is still on the learning curve. You know, Xhaka, you know, great. Lacazette, okay. Pepe, lovely goal, but thoroughly underwhelmed by his performance. Aubameyang, meh. You know, that's how I feel. That's how I feel. You know, I thought Hector was poor. I thought Kolasinac.
Just before, because I'm getting old, I forget points I want to make these days. Just on the Aubameyang thing, he worries me. Really worries me. I'm not singling him out in any way. I'm not saying he's not committed, or I'm not trying to start a bloody hate campaign or anything, but he looks like a really frustrated player at the moment. Like his expressions, he did that one drag back and shot, which I thought was really good today, where he composed himself, dragged the ball inside, and to be fair, I think it was Lewis Dunk made a really good block. And as much as he's a pillock, he wouldn't be a bad signing, by the way. But he looks like a player to me who's got a lot of things on his plate right now, and that worries me. I actually thought Lacazette was quite sprightly today, and another day that header goes in. and I think the 2 shots he had that were blocked go in. I mean, I just worry about.
To be fair in the head, Saka should have got the ball in sooner. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
He's had to check himself there.
Did well to improvise to get that.
But the link that we don't get midfielders up to support the attack. Do you know what I mean? We're not fluid in any way, shape, or form. But I want to move on from that now. Geoff, this is the question for me. Loki73 asks: is Martinelli injured, or is his attitude geared to winning? Geared to winning to fit in? I got a couple of questions here because what the fuck is going on with Martinelli? He's hardly had much game time under Mikel. And when you look at his performances, when you look at his attitude under Unai Emery, this is a boy who didn't stop working. This is a boy who did exactly what was asked of him, scored goals, didn't stop running, was our biggest goal threat, and no offense to Eddie Nketiah, fucking poles apart. They're poles apart. Just look at the goal tally this season. Talk to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if any of us know unless Arteta's addressed it after the game, which I haven't had a chance to really see the comments on that. I know we saw some Arteta comments in the chat, but I don't know. I don't know if he's injured. I don't know if it's an attitude thing, and I don't know if any of us do know that. I agree with you, though, 100%, Jace, that if all things are equal, I'd love to have seen him come into that game because he gives us an energy and that pure predator instinct that he brings to the pitch. We could have used that, and especially when we talked about those 3 subs that came on. They weren't really game-winning subs. Martinelli has that in his locker when he's on his game. So I mean, I don't know why he didn't feature. I have no idea. But like I said, all things being equal, he's been training with the team, so he looks okay. I know during the lockdown, there were a lot of photos of him working out. He looked like he was bulking up for to bring a bit more physical presence to his game, which all the young players, I think they need to bulk up a lot of them. So I don't know, Loki. I don't know why that's the case. I don't know why he comes in. There might be a perfectly reasonable answer because, surely if we can all sit here on this podcast and say, it was obvious he should have come in, there may be some reasonable answer we're just not aware of. And I don't know. I don't know the answer. And if somebody in the chat has seen some comments from Arteta saying one way or another why he didn't feature today, then fair play.
Yeah. I'm going to answer the next one. Akib Ali asks, do you think having players that always want ball to feet is slowing down the play? Yeah, I do. I really do. I think, since Arsene left, we've had 4 transfer windows. Now, you have to look at the first one as Sven's transfer window, okay? And then the rest are Raul's. We don't have anybody who gets beyond the ball. We don't have players who run to create space. We don't have players who play with ambition to get forward. At the moment, you look at Guendouzi, he's a certain type of player, but Guendouzi's a long-term project. He's not supposed to be the finished article at this moment in time. Look at Danny Ceballos, as Josh said on Wednesday night. He's a ball recycler. Well, in your midfield, you need somebody to get ahead of the ball. We haven't got any of that. I think, you look at something like Willock, lovely player, loves driving with the ball, doesn't get beyond the ball. AMN, we don't even know what AMN is. We don't know. Hasn't been given the chance properly. Okay, and when you look at what we've had certain players put out on the park this season, I think that's awfully damning. Now, obviously, Arteta knows better than any of us what this squad's all about, and I believe in him. But you have to have players. If you want to play a certain system, if you want to play this 4-2-3-1, okay, what's that number 10 doing for you? What's it doing for you? Because you saw a lot of huff and puff and a lot of effort from Saka today. And, he gets the assist on the Pepe goal, but you need that position to be uber effective. That needs to drop in to help at the 2 when you're defending, and you need one of the 2 to get up to support the attack when you're attacking. And we just don't do that. With the fullbacks, they weren't effective at all today. They just weren't effective. You saw whoever's on the left, whether it be Auba or Saka when floating, them struggle to get enough support. Pepe and Hector, nothing. You know, we have to have people who want to get ahead of the ball, and that's something they need to address in the summer, because if they don't, I can just see more of the same crap. Kris, DJ Samuel asks, do you agree we need a summer clear-out?
Yes. Yeah, I do, but I worry about how we're going to clear that out. It reminds me of, to use another sort of video game analogy, apologies, but it's the easiest one I can come up with. It's a little bit like when you're playing a game like Football Manager or something, and you go into a club and you have this sort of idea. It's like, well, you kind of join a club and you go, well, I don't really like that player. I don't really like him. I don't really like him. So you clear everybody out and you just go through your youth academy and you just bring in all your own players and you start afresh. It's kind of how I feel like I'd like to do it. The problem is this is the real world and we can't do that. The one concern I have, and on a bigger point, because yes, in short, I do agree we need to clear out. The biggest concern I have with this whole Project Youth idea and this whole plan of we promote from the inside is this is not Man United. You can't win anything with kids era anymore. This is a game that's dominated by money. Man United did that and they did it brilliantly, but their only competition at that point in time was Blackburn.
But Beverly, Kris, on that, okay. You had Blackburn, you had us around there as well, okay? But the big thing is, okay, you can't win anything with kids, but the spine of your team, Peter Schmeichel, right? You had Gary Pallister, okay? I think it was Pallister at the time at the centre half, but you had Roy Keane in the midfield, and you always had two really good goal scorers. So when you're bringing in Paul Scholes, Ryan Giggs was a tried and tested player by that time, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're Beckham, Scholes, you got Roy Keane there.
Well, that's my worry. We don't have that. If this current squad had Patrick Vieira, Gilberto Silva, Tony Adams, Martin Keown, and players of David Seaman or somebody like that, where you had a presence down the spine, I'm all fine with particularly fullbacks, particularly wingers, because you can blood those and you can bring them through. I'm not particularly keen on the idea of us going into a new season relying on the likes of Willock, Guendouzi, and Nketiah. They should be in the squad. Yeah, I would certainly invest some money into bringing them through, because ultimately, whether we have them or we sell them on, they're a financial benefit to us. If not on the pitch, they're a financial benefit to sell. But I'd kind of like to see us go down the route of bringing in tried and tested Premier League players. And I never thought I'd say that, but I kind of feel like now is the time to do that. We've done the scouting in South America with Big Dick and his checkbook. We've done the scouting of the French era when Arsene was there, and the plucking of youngsters from random European leagues. See Stepanovs. Some worked, some didn't. But I feel like now is the time to, I mentioned it earlier on, why not go to Brighton and say, we quite like that Lewis Dunk. Here's 25 million and, I don't know, another of our players. That's kind of the sort of player, because I just feel like we need a little bit of that. Man United have done it with Harry Maguire. Not everyone rates him, and I get why. I'm not a particular fan.
£80 million for that donkey.
Well, but we've missed out. I watched Leicester at lunchtime. Kagalar Sayonshu would have walked into our back four. The kid's 22 and he absolutely dominates Leicester, the centre back line. He's an absolute monster. We had him on a plate and we went, do you know what? No, we're not sure. We don't know. We don't want to pay. And look where we are. And anyone that saw him at Freiburg could see it. Now we're having to have discussions with RB Leipzig about Upamecano, who we simply cannot afford. With Thomas Partey, who we simply cannot afford. It doesn't matter if the players want to join us. It doesn't matter if they like Arteta and they love the marble halls and and Highbury's their middle name. It doesn't matter if they want to play for us. And if we can't afford them because we can't ship out the David Luiz's on 24 million quid a season, then it's pointless. So for me, let's go to Villa and ask about Jack Grealish. Let's go to Brighton and ask about Lewis Dunk, and let's try and. I'm not saying bring in journeyman. I'm not saying go and try and sign somebody who's 31 and at the end of their career, because again, Sokratis, we sort of tried that. I think now is the time to go into a Premier League team, and particularly Norwich. We mentioned in the last pod, Jace, you know, some of their young talent. Yes, we are going to get blown out of the water by a Man City if they come in.
Yeah.
But why not test the water? We might get 2 or 3 out of 10. Well, those 2 or 3 are probably better than what we've got now.
Look, I think it takes a whole different, you know, it takes the right mix of players. And I think at the moment we don't have that. I worry because of Raul, because I just think the guy's an absolute fucking fraud, and I have from the beginning. And I've seen no evidence to change my mind. Everything he's done so far has just reinforced my opinion on him. G, you've got to leave soon, so I just want to ask you one question before you go, mate. Michael Hahnemann asks, is it time to take Bellerin out and put Maitland-Niles into the Southampton game?
I don't think Bellerin was our problem today. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a bit of rotation for the next game. But I didn't think Bellerin was a problem. I know we comment about how he's lost a bit of a step. But you know, I don't know if Maitland-Niles is the guy as well that is going to steady the ship by bringing him in. So I don't know.
What about Cedric?
Pardon me?
He's injured.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Cedric, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I just don't think I don't think that's where our problem areas are. I think we've got bigger issues. Center of the park and center back. We talk about it again. We've got to figure that out. And we're running out of options. And that, you know, the rate we're going, we're not even going to have a team to finish the season with injuries. So the one thing I don't know, and I got to ask this question, and Kris, you're going to know the answer, and I apologize. I do have to run it at some point soon. But Kris, French League's over. It's done. We know that. PSG won. Can we at some point recall Saliba?
I know this.
Chase, go. No. Just tell me the answer.
I know this.
Yeah.
Kris will say this exactly the same word for word, because I saw Kris put it up on Twitter, I think it was Kris that put it up on Twitter. I'm pretty sure it is, because I was looking to see if I could wind him up over it, but I can't. No, because we're still in the same season, you can't recall him in the same season. You can't play him now. Okay. So it's still a part of that same season, so we can't do that. But he's officially finished with Saint Etienne. Is it Saint Etienne he was with? Yeah,
he's at Arsenal now, which is good, because Saint Etienne had 6 players test positive for COVID this week. So good job. He is already in training with Arsenal. He is in London, but he can't be if because the season hasn't ended. Yeah, if it was any other time and both seasons had ended, but we can't, which sucks.
See,
it would have been a great time to blood him, wouldn't it?
Kris, you think I only read your tweets to wind you up, but no, I listen as well, okay?
No, I know you do.
You know, I do, to be fair. G, before you go, okay?
Yeah.
Thank you. It's been brilliant podding with you again, mate. Absolutely adored this. You know, this goes back to when myself and Kris joined ABW. We were all on that same little raft there. And it's always too long in between pods, mate. Absolutely love today. Fantastic. When you see Max, give him our love, you know. But if you do have to pop off before we finish, I just want to say that I love having you on. Hopefully we can do more. But thank you, mate. Thank you,
brother. I mean, it's been my pleasure to get back into it. And I got to say, you know, with everything that's gone on with Arsenal this season, I haven't really wanted to pod about Arsenal. And then everything going on with Bergkamp Wonderland with our friends that are no longer with us, I haven't really wanted to pod. I haven't had that desire, but it's always great to be back in the seat with you boys. And I think we were pretty close to all being on the same first episodes together. Like we all kind of joined at the same time, and you guys have featured a lot more than I have because of the time difference. But it's always good to see you guys. And a popular trivia for the chat. Here's a little trivia for you. Jace, myself, and Danny the GFP did the very first radio show together. Do you remember that, Jace? Because it wasn't a real radio show. It was a test, but we went
it. Yeah.
We went live by accident on YouTube. You guys called me up on my phone and we were goofing off. And that was the very first radio show. So ABW Radio, of course, ABW Live now. So appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me.
Geoff, before you go, tell Mr. Epic about LWO. We love the lightning.
Yeah, fair play. So I have been podcasting lately, as some of you know, and the reason I'm hungover today, during COVID, my local team that I'm a part of, LWO, which is what LWO is, Lightning World Order, which has been together now for 27 years. I decided to launch LWO Radio, which was basically a podcast for the boys. And we have a hockey team and a soccer team. So there's about 45, 50 guys and a big extended group of guys that have played with the team over the years. And fortunate enough that you boys have supported us by watching along and participating. Danny was in the chat last night. So I don't know what time it was, probably like 4 a.m. your guys' time. And so LWO is my team. LWO Radio is on YouTube. You can go back. It's over now. We did 6 episodes. And 45 guys, somehow our first episode has over 500 views, which I can't really explain it. 6 episodes collectively over 2,000 views, which we thought they were going to get like about 15 each. And it is a lot of fun. So I'm not going to push it because it's a different podcast, but it's just a bunch of guys getting drunk on the internet, telling old stories. And if you do watch one episode,
Chump.
There's an episode 2 is called The Perfect Day, about the champ, which we had him on as a guest. I'm not going to say anything more. This is an Arsenal podcast. That's what it's for. But go check it out. LWO Radio, episode 2, The Perfect Day is. I laugh so hard I cry every time I watch it.
I was in tears, okay? And if ever I wanted to go drinking with one guy, other than yourself, obviously, pal, it's the champ. He's
a legend. He's a legend.
Proper drunken lunatic. It's the way forward. Right. Thank you, G. I've loved this, mate. I've loved this. So on to our last question of the day, guys. And it is for the man who I popped my podcasting cherry with today. It's for Cory. Cory, bro, how are you? You enjoyed?
Yeah, having a great time.
You made you superstar, absolute rock star. Daryl Kane asks, okay, and what's your opinion on this? On a positive note, I did think Saka playing the central role and floating out wide but attacking inside was pleasing to watch. Maybe we could go Torreira, Guendouzi and a 4-3-3 to support that. What are your thoughts, pal?
I like this kid Saka. I'd put him anywhere on the field. Like I said about him earlier, one of the magical things I see about him is this kind of football on a string kind of thing that he has. This ability to just kind of work it in his feet, and you'll think, oh, he's lost the ball, and it's like a yo-yo. Suddenly the ball's in front of him, and he goes past a couple of players. The kid is so exciting, so exciting. Gotta sign him. Got to give that kid a contract, and I say put him anywhere on the field for me, for sure.
Yeah, I got to be honest too. I really enjoyed it. Right, guys, that's it for today. We've gone for nearly 2 hours again. Apologies, listeners. It is too long. It's we should be sort of an hour for these, but we're coming back to football, and there's kind of a lot to say, and we're getting a podcast with our mates, and that's what this has always been about. It's always what it's been about, and it always will be. To all of you in the chat, you've been fantastic. Some new faces, some interesting comments, a lot of laughs in there. Thank you. You're always brilliant. We do appreciate it. Geoff has left us now. OG, we love you dearly, mate. Top man. To Cory, thank you, mate.
Yeah, good show, guys. Thanks, Kris. Thanks, Jason. It was great.
Mate, brilliant to be on with you. Brilliant to be on with you.
Yeah, we'll do it again.
Damn right. Mr. Pirate.
Yes.
Cheers, bro.
Thank you, Jace. Thank you, Cory.
Love
the Arsenal.
Yeah. We go again, boys. We go again.
We go again.
Yeah. We'll have our own pity party, but we'll be back to moan about all the same things all over again next week.
Jason, don't throw your TV at people walking by your window.
No, I was going to mention this. I have to say this before I go. Don't do that, Jace, because if you go onto the popular streaming site that rhymes with Wet Dicks, then you will find a Spanish film, I think it's called The Platform, and the guy who gets sent into a cell is sent in there for a crime of throwing a TV out of his window, which kills someone. So let that be a lesson to you. Go look it up.
To be fair, I'm too tight to waste the money. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I'm way too tight to waste the money. Chat box, thank you so much. On a dark day for the Arsenal, it really was gutless at times. It was shameful, some of the performance today. I thought these players are better than that, and they need to start showing it. But onwards to Southampton game next. You know, there's still a lot to play for. We've still got to keep on going. So let's hope Mikel can get it sorted. Thank you all. It's been hard today, but we move forward. Jonas Segtan-Berg is in the house as well. You get the last shout out of the day, mate. Okay. Take care. Good night. Keep it Arsenal. Enjoy the rest of the weekend, guys. Thank you very much. Ba-da, ba-da.